With the last pick in this year's draft.
Alright, so it's late night and I just got done watching a video about the top 5 hated New Orleans Saints players. I decided, hey, let's do one, but let's do top 5 hated New Orleans Saints of all time throughout the whole organization. Let's go ahead and lay out the criteria to this video. It can't be anyone before the year 2000. Let's be real, anyone before the year 2000, we could only go off of their on-field product. In this video, on and off-field product will be judged and used against you. And before I get into my list, I want to say if you don't agree with the list, that's perfectly fine. Get in the comment section and leave your list, because I know some of y'all have been Saints fans since the beginning of time, since the 60s. I myself have not been on earth that long, so I can't give you players from the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. And just to simplify it as much as possible, I feel like making it from the year 2000 to present will be the most easiest way to go about it. So let me first start off by giving the honorable mentions. Jairus Byrd. Now I get it, Jairus Byrd was one of the first players who got a big contract and did not live up to the hype. And to be honest with you, you get paid based off what you did, and you hope that the player does produce to what their contract states. Jairus Byrd was one of those players who balled out and got a big contract, and it wasn't his fault that he got the big contract. What do you want him to do, not sign the contract?
Yep.
However, when he got to New Orleans, he lived up to the phrase, got his money and did absolutely nothing. And to be completely honest with you, it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't enough to justify the contract that they gave him. I believe if he was picked up for half the money that he signed for, nobody would have a problem with Jairus Byrd. He was not extremely bad, but he wasn't as good as we hoped him to be, especially when he's coming off of Pro Bowl appearances and all-pro nods with the Bills. So yes, there are fans that really hate him, but again, he is not that bad, so I had to put him as an honorable mention because I can understand why you may hate him. Ken Crawley. And to be honest with you, I struggled to put him on this list. The only reason why Ken Crawley gets this much hate is because he overachieved. He came in as an undrafted cornerback who worked his way up the depth chart. I believe he was cornerback 3 before we drafted Marshawn Lattimore. And again, he was an undrafted player who made his way to the 3rd string cornerback. We don't like him because he was getting straight up burnt on like 90% of the plays he was on the field for. But then again, what do we expect from an undrafted player? Did you expect him to go from undrafted to the star of the team, maybe the 2nd cornerback? Absolutely not. And his contract wasn't that bad. So again, it was kind of hard to put him on this list. That's why he's not a part of the top 5, because again, he worked his way up, he overachieved, and he did not cost that much money. He was just a little trash by NFL standards, of course, because me and you didn't make it to the NFL. He did. So hey, I could never say he's trash. He's just not that good on an NFL level. Coming in at number 5, we got Darren Sharper, and the reason why he's at number 5 and not number 1 is solely based on his on-field play. The reason why he's not number 1 is because his on-field play. The reason why he's number 5 is because his on-field play. If he didn't play well for the New Orleans Saints, he would be the undisputed number 1 pick in this list. Really, it has to be all mental. Matter of fact, it is all mental. There's something wrong with this man up top for him to do what he did. We won't speak on it. Just know he is the scum of the earth. And to be honest with you, his play could not save him from this list. Again, it just saved him from being number 1. Maybe he should have been number 3. And it's so sad because when he came to New Orleans, he stabilized the safety position. I actually liked him. He was one of my favorite Saints players. But all the things you've done good on the football field means absolutely nothing because you are a trash person in real life. So cheers to you, Mr. Darren Sharper, because you are an a-hole.
Respectfully.
Number 4, Dennis Allen. Now, I know y'all probably thinking I was going to pick all players, but Dennis Allen is a part of the New Orleans Saints, whether you agree or not. Dennis Allen, as a defensive coordinator, was one of the best things that happened to New Orleans. Remember, he was a part of this team for some legendary runs. However, we're talking about head coach Dennis Allen. He was the worst thing that happened to this team since the 2000s outside of Hurricane Katrina. This man took a playoff caliber team and set them back. How you do that? Let me tell you how you do that. You bring in the quarterback that you wanted and you drafted. And once you brought this player onto your team, you gave him special treatment. You coddled him instead of giving him constructive criticism. You threw other players under the bus instead of giving him constructive criticism. You alienated the team instead of giving him constructive criticism. Do you get where I'm going here? You had favoritism, and that favoritism tore the team apart. You had a losing record with the Raiders. You had a losing record with the Saints. You are a loser as a head coach. You played stupid games with the team, and you ended up fired by Gail Benson. Let's rewind that back a little bit. You got got fired by the owner. You did not get fired by your direct boss. You got fired by the owner of the team. That's how trash you were. And I want to give credit to you, the Saints fans, the Who Dat Nation, because it was you who helped that happen. Y'all stopped showing up to the games. Y'all started booing. Gail Benson had to take notice, and she did what she was supposed to do. Fire his ass. So here's to you, Mr. DA, on your future endeavors.
Like, respectfully.
Number 3, Eli Apple. Now I know. On some of you guys' list, he's probably number 1, but I could not put him over the next 2 people that are on this list. Eli Apple was so trash in a Saints uniform. However, his contract wasn't that big. And I believe that is the only shining light on Eli Apple. His contract wasn't crazy. Remember when the Saints traded for Eli Apple, we thought that he was going to solidify the second cornerback position. And then game in and game out, we just hoped that the quarterback of the other team didn't throw it his way. We knew for a fact we had a shutdown cornerback in Marshawn Lattimore, but on the other side of the field, we had Eli freaking Apple.
Come on, man.
Mr. Burnt Toast himself. And he ain't doing himself no favors by going to the media and talking about the city of New Orleans. Like, what type of goofy ass logic is that? And I get it. The only reason why he's speaking like that against the city of New Orleans is because he's hurt. He's hurt that we don't love him like that. He's hurt that his time in New Orleans was him getting burnt. He's hurt that his time in New Orleans will be remembered as us going against him saying that he's trash. And again, this is by NFL standards. He did make it to the NFL, so he achieved a lot in life. By NFL standards, you are still trash. And outside of the football field, you are a trash person. You are a mama's boy. I think that's what everybody had a problem with. Like, bro, your mom is telling you what to do. You were out here mama's boy, bro. You're a millionaire living with your mother. That's cool. Take care of mom dukes. Bro, you was a mama's boy. I'm not even gonna go deep into it because we ain't here to disrespect his mom. Shout out to his mom. I hope his mom live a long, healthy life. But boy, you better not be out here talking and running your mouth and then you gotta hide behind your mom. A grown ass man hide behind his mom. But again, much respect to his mom. We ain't here to diss nobody's mamas. You just a mama's boy. Number 2, Mickey Loomis. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. This one was pretty hard because there was a time where we used to holler out, "In Mickey Loomis we trust." Mickey Loomis is in fact responsible for bringing in Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I won't give him full credit for what Sean Payton and Drew Brees created in that time span, but he did bring them to the New Orleans Saints. And I won't lie to you, Sean Payton and Drew Brees came to the New Orleans Saints by chance. I do not believe they were the first option, the second option. I don't think Drew Brees wanted to come to the New Orleans Saints. He actually wanted to go to Miami, but you know how that happened and the rest is history. I'm glad that Drew Brees didn't pass the physical because New Orleans and Drew Brees was just meant for each other. However, since Drew Brees and Sean Payton has left the team, we see what Mickey Loomis really is. Smug, chewing his gum, don't care about the fans, just, hey, you get what I give you. And that in return has gotten everyone in the Who Dat Nation and the Saints fandom up in arms about him being fired. Anytime the New Orleans Saints social media pages post anything about Mickey Loomis, you will see an alarming amount of people saying fire him. We all feel like he doesn't make the right choices. He just does things based on how he feels. And a lot of us believe that the NFL has passed his ideologies by. But he don't care. Since he's written into the will, he'll do whatever he wants to do until he decides he want to retire or the good Lord calls him home. And again, I'm not saying that I want him to die or anything like that. I'm just saying he's gonna be there until either A, the good Lord calls him home, B, he chooses to retire. Because we know Gail Benson is not gonna fire him and Dennis Lauscher is not gonna fire him either. So when it pertains to Mickey Loomis, you gotta buckle up and deal with whatever the bull mess he puts us through because he's gonna be here for the long haul. And the number 1 most hated New Orleans Saint of all time is Drew Brees. How dare you? How dare you, bro? How dare you only bring 1 ring to our city?
Boy, if you don't...
You know I'm just joking. We all love Drew Brees. The number 1 most hated New Orleans Saint of all time right now is Derek Carr. And I really don't want to hear none of the BS from the Derek Carr fan base, the Derek Carr apologists, the Derek Carr Beehive, the Derek Carr Angels. I don't want to hear none of that, man. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints Derek Carr. We're not talking about the Oakland Raider, Las Vegas Raider Derek Carr. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints Derek Carr. My boy signed the biggest contract in New Orleans Saints history. 150 of them things. You would expect someone who signed the biggest contract in New Orleans Saints history to at least produce half of what he's being paid. If Drew Brees had signed a contract for $150 million, he deserved to sign that contract because he brought our team its first Super Bowl. He made our team relevant. When Drew Brees go into the Hall of Fame, his bust will be of a New Orleans Saints player. He will be in the Hall of Fame as a New Orleans Saint, not a Charger. He didn't do nothing as a Charger. He did a little bit as a Charger. When he goes into the Hall of Fame, he will be a New Orleans Saint. You could give him the 150 contract, but if you give a $150 million contract to someone like Derek Carr, you at least expect him to beat more than one team that's over 500. In his 2 years as a New Orleans Saints quarterback, he's only beaten one team over 500. Meaning every other team that was above 500, he lost to. And I said this plenty of times on this channel, by no means is Derek Carr trash, but he is not $150 million good. I've said this so many times, he's right in the middle. He's not good, he's not bad, he's in the middle. He's mediocre, he's average with the New Orleans Saints. He'll beat the bad teams and he will lose to the good teams. That puts you right in the middle, bro. So with his on-field play and the contract itself, yes, people are not gonna like you. And then with this whole ordeal leading up to his retirement, it just made everything 10 times worse. You're under contract with a team, but your feelings are hurt, so you want to ask for a trade. You don't get the trade, but it came out that you're shopping yourself to other teams outside of New Orleans Saints knowledge. So you're out here going behind the team's back, shopping yourself. And they said it wasn't him who shopped himself. It was his agent that shopped him.
Damn.
Your agent works on behalf of you. Your agent just doesn't go out there and just make pitches to other teams. You tell them to do it. Your agent works for you. They don't move unless you say move. So of course people are gonna think you're on some Benedict Arnold type of time, which you really were. And then you came out with this whole injury thing, which you probably really are injured. But then you kind of held that against the team like, hey, either do this or I'm gonna go ahead and get this season-ending surgery. Kellen Moore became the new head coach. You didn't even see him. He said he didn't even talk to you. You were flying to New Orleans and probably speak to Mickey Loomis, but you didn't even speak to the head coach, the new head coach. You wasn't even locked in with the team like that. And then you dropped the Carr review, no pun intended, right as the team was getting together to start working. And I didn't even mention that you were getting players hurt, you were throwing hospital balls, you got into it with Chris Olave, you got into it with Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy is so chill. When have you ever seen Eric McCoy turn up on the field? But somehow, some way, Eric McCoy turns up on you. But now that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the retirement part of it. You retired and you had to give $30 million back to the New Orleans Saints. Your team paraded that around like you were being generous to the New Orleans Saints, like, hey, we're trying to help the New Orleans Saints out. Here's $30 million back. You didn't graciously give that money back to the New Orleans Saints because you said at the beginning of the offseason that you're not taking a pay cut. And it also came out that you said you wanted a pay increase to play for the New Orleans Saints. So now that you are forced to retire and you had a guaranteed $40 million, you just decided to give us back $30 million?
Hell no.
Look, if you believe that Derek Carr graciously gave us back $30 million, I got a beachfront condo for you in Kansas. It sits right on the ocean. You will love it. Derek Carr did not graciously give that money back to the New Orleans Saints. I believe the $10 million that he took was a favor from the New Orleans Saints, basically telling him, hey, take this money and get out of here before we go to court about this. Ain't no way in hell I sign a contract, and this is me speaking for myself. Ain't no way in hell I sign a contract for $40 million and I'm forced to retire and I say, look, I'm giving that money back to you. Hell no, nobody's doing that. If your job gave you a contract for $100K and then something happened to you on the job that caused you to retire early, are you gonna say, hey, even though I got hurt doing something that you made me do, I'm gonna give you back $50,000 of this money that I just earned? Absolutely not. There is some deeper dealings with this whole Derek Carr money situation. Again, I don't know everything. I just know what was put out there on the research that I did do. And I wholeheartedly understand if some of y'all don't agree with me putting Derek Carr as number one, but I wholeheartedly believe no one is hated more by the New Orleans Saints fan base than Derek Carr. It's gotta be between him and Darren Sharper, bro. It has to be between those two, bro. All of those people sprinkled in between Derek Carr and Darren Sharper are just fluff. Darren Sharper is a, look, I don't want to cuss on this channel too much, but let's just say he's a bad person. And then you have Derek Carr, who just jackknifed his whole Saints tenure. Derek Carr is the prototype to piss off a city and a fan base. If you want to learn how to piss off an organization and its fans, just watch Derek Carr's 2025 offseason. I'm sure you would be in for a masterclass. However, this is just my opinion because I never made it to the NFL.